I'm Robin Varnum. Mark and I were traveling around India by train, third class, unreserved. But by the time we got to Bombay, we were running seriously short of money. It was 1973, and we were in our early 20s. We were Peace Corps volunteers based in Afghanistan, and we were on our mid-service break from the Peace Corps. We were traveling with a copy of India on $5 a day and a heavy suitcase. As soon as we got to Delhi, we bought 2 comprehensive railway passes, which entitled us to unlimited travel within India for the next 6 weeks. These passes cost us $20 apiece. But traveling third class was hell, because no one regulated the number of passengers that could crowd onto a third-class car. And often, there were more than 300 people on a car with seats for maybe 150. Every time we came to a station, crowds of passengers anxious to get off would crowd the doorways, and crowds equally anxious to get on would push and shove past them through the doors and through the windows. And vendors would run up to the windows hawking naan, which is Indian bread, and sweet tea in disposable clay cups. We were so crowded, I was always worried about pickpockets. There was a filthy restroom at the end of every car, and the stench of that restroom mingled with the smell of unwashed bodies and of the cheap cigarettes that all the guys were smoking. Mark and I had a good time in India. We saw all the tourist attractions. We saw the Taj Mahal. We went to Benares. We went to Calcutta. But we were spending something more than $5 a day, and by the time we got to Bombay, we were having to pinch pennies. And we still had to get back to Delhi in order to catch our flight back to Afghanistan. So we stood on the platform there in Bombay, and we fought our way onto a third-class car. But we didn't manage to secure seats. So there we were, standing at the far end of the car, near the restroom, and there was a lower caste family huddled up against us, father, mother, several kids. I wondered if they were untouchables. The mother was suckling a baby, but she wore no bodice or bra, and her tattered sari did very little to conceal her breasts. As soon as we pulled out of the station, she swung into action. She directed her husband to set our suitcase parallel to the restroom wall to create a little enclosure, and they filled in with their duffel bags. Then she motioned for Mark and me to sit on one of the duffel bags, and she handed a kid to Mark and another kid to me. She and her husband were sitting on the other duffel bag, he holding a third kid and she holding the baby. And we adults were sitting knee to knee, so there was no place for the kids except in our laps. And they were filthy little kids. They had snotty noses and matted hair, and they kept scratching their genitals. They maybe had fleas. We didn't have a common language, but Mark offered the guy a cigarette, and the woman crooned softly to her baby. At supper time, she pulled out a brightly colored plastic basket and handed out pieces of naan to all of us. And at the very next station, Mark bought tea from a vendor for all of us. The trip lasted 30 hours. When we got to Delhi, we spent the last of our cash on a taxi to the airport. At the airport, we were fortunate to run into our Peace Corps friend, Dave Jeffords. We told him that we were leaving India without a rupee to spare. He said, "How are you going to pay the airport tax?" We hadn't known about any airport tax. Dave called us deadbeats, But he pulled out his wallet and he saved us. Thank you.